All right, look, the people y'all see before me, this is Miss Natasha and Herbie Balboa, and they're coming here to be on What's Up Shreveport, all the way from Frederick, Maryland. What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
Great.
Doing well. Thank you for
All
having
right,
us.
so right now, for those that are watching, those that are listening on the radio, we're going to talk a little bit about the life in Frederick, Maryland. We're going to talk about, and I know we talked about it prior to coming on, but we're going to talk about Frederick Unplugged. And Frederick Unplugged is kind of complex, and there's a little bit about it that I'm going to have to get them to explain. So, once again, I'd like to welcome y'all to Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, Freddie Balboa is from the South. And from what I've learned, Miss Natasha's from the North, but it's not the North, and we're going to talk about that, you know what I'm saying, from Frederick, Maryland. All right, so y'all are down here in Louisiana visiting, just kind of chilling. How has this experience been for y'all being here?
Oh, I love it. It's definitely different, and it's been amazing the whole time we've been here.
No, I love it too. Obviously, love it too. I graduated from Alexandria Senior High School years ago. Don't want to talk about the age and everything, giving that away. But it's just coming back, being up with family again, spending time with family. That's important to me. And of course, getting back to the Louisiana food is top notch. So yeah, I definitely miss that as well. Yeah.
Okay,
cheese grits and yeah. So.
Okay, look, I want to ask you before you said cheese grits.
Right.
So, what you know about grits, Tosh?
Nothing.
Okay, sugar on grits.
No sugar on grits for me.
Okay, look, I had to ask you that because that's a big, sugar or no sugar on grits.
Exactly.
You said cheese, maybe some salt, pepper.
Cheese, salt, and pepper is about as far as I go.
Okay, cheese, salt, and pepper, no sugar. So you don't know nothing about
No,
grits, right, Natasha? Okay.
We really don't eat that in Frederick.
Okay, so this young lady is from Maryland. Once again, like I said, I mentioned. Okay, so we talked offline. I know you say you've been in the deeper South. Now, I consider Maryland being up north, but y'all kind of educating me about that. Y'all saying actually Maryland is South as well. So give us a little bit more insight about Maryland being the South.
Yeah, so Maryland's considered is below the Mason-Dixon line. So definitively is considered the South. Culturally, that's debatable. We don't, me personally, I don't consider it the South at all. Especially if you've been to Baltimore, that's not the South. So there's a lot of arguments about that, but definitively it's below the Mason-Dixon line, so it is the South. But there's a lot of variation in the state itself. So you can go to Maryland. The unique thing about Maryland is you can go to Maryland, you can ski there. You got the mountains in Maryland. If you're a beach person, you can go to Ocean City, spend the entire day at the beach, on the boardwalk and everything like that. If you're in the farming and you're country, Maryland's got the country right there, even in Frederick. So whatever you're looking for, it's like a small country in and of itself. You can find whatever interest area you have. So if you're into fishing, you got fishing there. So, and if you're a city person, you got Baltimore. You got the Wire there. That type of thing. So
Okay.
so, yeah.
So Herbie, with you being from the South, how long have you actually been up there in Maryland?
So because my family's ex-military, my dad was ex-military, retired military. We've been all over the place. I was actually born in Philly. I was born in North Philly, but we were very young when we moved to England. Spent some years in England, everything like that. So in the North itself, I've spent the most time in the North as an adult. As an adult. Actually retired from the military and everything like that. Now, spent a lot of time as a kid, high schooler in the South. So between Florida. Spending a lot of time in Florida. My dad was stationed there, and once I entered the military, got commissioned and everything like that. I was stationed in Florida too, the exact same base, the whole 9 yards. So a lot of experience down south. So comparatively, I can talk a little bit about the diversion between foods and culture and schools, universities, and everything like that. So different perspectives. So.
Okay. So, Miss Natasha, with you being from Maryland, we're kind of talking about different things, and with being from there, we were kind of discussing offline like how like all these different locations, like major cities, are like close within maybe 30 minutes to hour radiuses.
Absolutely.
So like with you being from up there, have you been able to personally go to these different places, DC.
Yes.
We said, what all the areas that you're close to where you're located?
Yeah, we're pretty much in the middle of, we can get to Pennsylvania in 30 minutes, we can get to West Virginia in 30 minutes, we can get to the Virginia state line in 30 minutes, we can get to DC in about 40 minutes. So, I mean, it's a lot of options that we can get to quickly. It really just depends how deep into each state you go. That's where it can turn into hours. But as far as just crossing a state line, like, you can get there quick. So, yeah, I've been to all of them. It just depends what you want to go to. West Virginia is like, you know, if you want to do like a lot of outdoor things, like, I don't do it, but they have like the kayaking and all that. You know, Virginia has like a bunch of wineries and things like that where they have probably like 50 of them just when you cross that line. DC, lots of good like jazz concerts and things like that there. There's always something to do in DC. So now, even though it's that close mile wise, that doesn't mean that's how long it takes to get there.
I got you.
I mean, he knows more about that than I do because I really don't like to drive much, but I'll ride along and sometimes it'll just turn into hours, even though it's about 30 miles.
And look, you said hours, so, you know, we were kind of talking prior to this. We were talking about the traffic.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, being in Louisiana, and I know, you know, you're familiar with the South, you know, we were kind of talking like, you know, when y'all go places, and we were talking about with Herbie, okay, like going to work. Like, I want people to hear this, like, you know, okay, if I have to be to work, and hey, I work from home, so I can maybe get everything lined up and be in there 5 minutes. So for you, going to work, you know, we're talking like, okay, so can you kind of explain it to us about you when you get ready for like a normal work day for you?
Right.
When does your work day actually start? And I'm saying
Right.
pre-work.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, we talk about the comparison and everything like that from working at home, or locally in the South and everything like that. You work 30 minutes away, you can pretty much, for the most part, step out of your house and say, I'll be there in 30 minutes. You're good to go. Here for me, again, working in the DC area there, probably about 40 miles, 45 miles from my doorstep to my building, my work building. Again, 45 miles. I wake up, you have to wake up probably no later than 4 o'clock in the morning just to get yourself ready and everything like that. So you can walk out the door by 5 o'clock to get to work by 7:30 at best. Because 9 times out of 10, you're gonna hit at least one accident, you know, gridlock, that type of thing. And I can give you a worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is getting to DC in the morning, leaving my house, trying to get there by 7:30. You know you're not gonna get there by 7:30. Took me 4 hours to get to work. 4 hours. That's because there's a major accident and everything like that. A lot of times you don't anticipate that, but you do the best you can. Getting home from work from DC back up north to Frederick, I think the worst I've had was 7 hours. It took me 7 hours to get home. That's because, and I'll give the backstory behind that. The backstory behind that is the major highway, which is 495 going into I-270 and then 15 into Frederick. They had a major chemical spill. They had a truck literally turn over on the interstate. This is 495, and they shut down all 4 lanes, just completely shut it down. So that meant every exit you tried to take, you know, leaving DC to head up north, they shut that down. So you had to find your own route. So eventually I found a route to get home. A lot of congestion because everyone's trying to do the exact same thing to get up north. And long story short, it took me about 7 hours to get back home.
So in the experience, you took 7 hours to get home just to almost wake up to get ready for work again. So how much time you had in between that to get ready for the next work day?
Not much at all. So maybe you get about 3 hours of sleep, and then you're back up again, rinse, wash and repeat, and you're back on the road again. Yeah, that's the worst case scenario. It's not like that every day, but for sure, traffic congestion runs your life up there. You have to mentally plan for that. And we talked about the comparison coming back down south here on vacation.
Yeah.
And having to get to an appointment this morning in Texas based on the Texas border side. Yeah. You're planning. No, we have to be back here at our time to meet up. So we're like, okay, we'll give ourselves 3 hours. It didn't really take us 3 hours because once you hit the road, you're gone. There's no congestion, no accidents, that type of thing, and you're doing it at half the time. But it's a mental mindset leaving the north, coming down south. That it's very interesting. Yeah, your calculus is way off. Yeah, but we call it PTSD. East Coast PTSD.
So traveling can take like up the majority of your day during the week. With y'all both?
Absolutely.
Easily. Yeah. So get real familiar with podcasts, get familiar with audiobooks and everything like that. Because it takes a while. You're gonna spend a large majority of your time.
Really like your car.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So look, we just touching on the travel. So for those that are watching and listening, we're just talking about the traveling, like as far as what Herbie does. Now, Natasha, we didn't talk too much about your traveling. Is it more minimal, or is you still driving is that the major highway that you mentioned, like where a lot of people maybe do a lot of their traveling?
So I don't like to drive, so I will make it my business to do all back roads and not hit a highway if I can avoid it. So I pretty much stay local or work from home, so I don't really have to run into that. But I still do have to account for the time like that, just because even getting through town, even staying within Frederick, it could still take 20 minutes to get to the other side of Frederick. And that's only because there's so many lights or things like that, and our speed limit is 25 because it's all residential, so we're just coasting at 25
throughout the whole city.
Yeah, pretty much. If it's residential area, you're 25 miles per hour, so it could take you 15-20 minutes to get across town, even if it's pretty much down the street.
Wow. And the backstory behind that is, you're talking Frederick established in that's embarrassing, I should know that, 1760s. So that same downtown infrastructure where they had horses and carts and everything like that, over time, that hasn't really changed much outside of expanding highways or expanding roads here and there. Now you brought in all the population growth, more vehicles, that type of thing. Generally the same infrastructure, highway infrastructure.
But we do a lot of historical preservation in Frederick. So we have downtown Frederick, and it's very protected to keep everything with the same look, but it's updated. But there's a whole committee. You have to get approvals for everything because they really try to keep the history intact in Frederick. So and then build around. So
and look, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, for those that are watching, we did actually show a graphic of Frederick Unplugged, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. And you actually just touched on maybe preserving that city. How big I think the population is of Frederick?
In the city, don't quote me on this.
Okay.
I should know this.
A hypothesis.
I would think that the city probably grew to about 60,000 now in the city. I'm not sure countywide. So and it's growing because we are actually getting an influx of people from other counties that find Frederick really attractive to live, and we get a lot from. They're always going north, and then so we are the north part of Maryland.
Yeah. Okay, and we did talk with Frederick being maybe 6 hours away from Canada, the Canada border.
Yeah, depending which way you go. Yeah, so I would think that's pretty accurate.
Okay, so look, we go pivot into food. Okay, so y'all came down south. I know y'all gotten the opportunity to eat some of the down south food. How would you compare, or what are some of the delicacies that y'all are known for up there in Frederick, Maryland, or Maryland, period?
Definitely crabs. We're known for crabs because we have the Chesapeake Bay and Old Bay. Old Bay is a staple. You better have it in your house, have it everywhere. That's just kind of what we're known for. But I would say, we have a lot of all you can eat crab spots. So, that's kind of where you go for it. And then other than that, it's, all the different genres of food. Just like here, yeah. So
seafood will be the main attraction for what? And mainly you say crabs.
Crabs, yeah.
Okay. So have you been able to experience eating crab here?
I haven't yet because someone has an allergy to seafood.
Oh, okay. So I know they normally so you haven't experienced gumbo or anything like that. You're down south.
That was my main goal coming here was to get gumbo. So I hope to eventually have it before tomorrow.
I gotcha. I understand that. So they say that eating the seafood from the south is a totally different experience.
Sure.
So I haven't experienced eating it from your location or where you have, but I know they seem as far as the harvest, it's a large influx up there from what I've seen for myself. So outside of Maryland, I know they say I've been able to travel to Pennsylvania. Have you been able to eat cheesesteaks and it's not pizza, cheesesteaks in
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia. And is there any other foods up in that particular area? I'm saying that whole realm of travel that that's really known for people to go and visit to eat that particular types of food, to y'all knowledge?
Again, claim to fame. We talk about crabs, blue crabs in Maryland. Obviously, Philadelphia's known for cheesesteaks. There's a lot of imitations out there, including Maryland. But at the end of the day, you can't get away from the original. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So look, we about to go ahead and change the narrative. I want us to start to discuss. Tell us about Frederick Unplugged. When did it begin and what it's about?
Right. So Frederick Unplugged is a Facebook group that's focused specifically in Frederick, Maryland, and it started, at the beginning of COVID back in 2020, similar to your podcast, I believe. So the primary purpose, the original purpose for Frederick Unplugged was to get together our neighbors. Again, COVID was a scary thing. Most of us never witnessed anything like that, a major pandemic that basically shut down the entire world. So, that included my job as well. So I went from, working in DC the majority of the week to, okay, everyone go home and we'll tell you when to come back to work. So we didn't know. It was scary to us, but all they told us is telework. They set up the VPNs and the whole 9 yards. So everything we were literally doing in the office, now we're doing at home at the kitchen table, and the kids are right across from you doing their schoolwork on computer as well. So the primary purpose was communication, just to bring my neighborhood, my small neighborhood together. And if you need anything, especially the elderly folks that live in the neighborhood, if I'm going out to get, toilet paper, something that, it was, our version of the Hunger Games back in the day,
Okay.
not a lot of places had toilet paper, or if they had toilet paper, you only get like one roll. That was it. So it's really just to help out the neighborhood. And then we started with 8 people, like literally 8 folks, 8 members in that group. And it stayed there for about almost a month. And then all of a sudden we started noticing that more and more folks are joining the group. And we were doing, just to give it a little bit more background, there's a number of Facebook groups in Frederick. And again, comparatively, I don't know if there's a lot of counties across the country that do the same thing, kind of capitalize on Facebook groups. Frederick has definitely done that. So there's a number of them. So what I had to do is I knew I had to distinguish that group from what the other groups were doing ourselves. So our focus was on local politics, the news. So what we do is we have our newspaper is the Frederick News Post. So we're taking our articles, major articles from the Frederick News Post, interesting articles from the Frederick News Post, post it in the group with the purpose of folks just talking about it, just opening up a conversation with the local community. What do you think about that? Everything from local politics to politicians, decisions that were made. We talked about population and expansion into Frederick, because let's be honest, a lot of folks are leaving Baltimore because they don't want to deal with the crime, the populations there, maybe the school systems, maybe they lost their job. Frederick is known for the quality of life, their family atmosphere. It's a very, very family-focused community. It really is. So you have an influx of folks from DC, the DC surrounding DMV area, Baltimore, other communities that come up north. So our population is expanding as well. So give me your thoughts on that type of thing. It could be our local education system. What are your thoughts? So that was the impetus behind it. So it's politics, it's local current events, and we also, Natasha mentioned humor. We like to throw in a little humor too. I love art. I don't consider myself an artist, but I love art. So, we draw little, caricatures and caricatures and everything like that. So it's just to get people interested. We also have merch. We started selling that downtown in the downtown Market Street area as well. Okay. So that was the purpose behind it, and it's continuously growing. We're expanding into meetups. Okay. I think that's a natural evolutionary progression anyway, is meetups, and we started doing that. We've had 2 so far. Natasha's established and organized all of those, and really it's just it's the next step in terms of building a community, I think. So okay. It's still ongoing, and we're branching out. We're on YouTube. We have TikToks out there as well, too, similar to you. Definitely not at the same level you are, but we're trying. We're definitely trying.
Look, like I said, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. Like I said, they're here visiting, and they got a lot more sightseeing to do before they actually leave this area. So if anyone was interested in actually, gathering information or how to join your group, to maybe even ask questions to see if someone was interested in actually establishing a group somewhere like y'all establishing, what would you recommend?
Give me advice.
I mean, they could just join. And if you go to Frederick Unplugged on Facebook, we can approve you to join, and, feel free to put your input, or this is over here, or you can see a lot of things that are going on in the area. So then if you choose to visit, then you can be like, oh, I'm coming to that event, or, oh, look, they're having another meetup soon, and, make my trip scheduled then and see what it's all about, meet some people that are all right there in Frederick.
All right, look, I'm definitely going to be joining because the social goals, we know what the life experience is, not the life experience, but the life is like up there to actually, to continue to get us aware. And like I said, I really appreciate the both of you actually coming on to talk with me about Frederick Unplugged in Frederick, Maryland. And how far is Frederick from Baltimore?
Good 40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I have heard, within crime, they're saying that Baltimore is like one of the top.
Actually, I believe I just saw an article that the mayor that they have now has done a great job, and I think reduced it by over 60%.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
I think that they got off of that list now.
Okay, so there
the
wasn't
mayor
anything.
they have right now. Is
Okay,
doing amazing.
so there wasn't anything as far as the crime spilling into Frederick or anything like that.
No,
Okay.
Frederick's very family oriented, safe place.
Okay.
I was born and raised there, so it's all I know. I feel safe.
And Frederick is a travel destination for people who may not know, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. There's plenty to do there, and we have a lot of breweries and wineries, and just arts district, and even more arts coming up. And we have theater productions and things like that. And then really the historical downtown. It's like a bunch of shops and restaurants, and it's really. There's a lot of collaborations. I will say the best thing about Frederick is that a lot of the businesses, they all collaborate together and work together and just really come out with new amazing things, innovation all the time. So you really never know what you're going to get when you come
Well, look,
here.
I'm going to tune in. I'm going to actually join that Facebook group because I want to know after you get to try some more delicacies here in Louisiana, when y'all go back to Frederick and talk about that, I want to hear the reviews based on the food that y'all get to eat from down here. Is there anything else y'all want to leave us with before we end this session?
Well, one thing I like to mention is not mine by any stretch of the imagination. We did talk about Artspiration a little bit. Would you like to give a couple minutes spill at least on Artspiration, what you're trying to do in that?
Okay.
arena?
Artspiration Frederick is a nonprofit that just got started. I have a business partner with that. She's amazing. She's an artist herself. I'm more the business side of things, where I love doing contracts and strategic plans, all the fun stuff that most people don't like. But what we're trying to do is create studio space for artists, because we actually we have no more studio space currently. It's a struggle for artists, and we're trying to help artists of all different mediums get studio space to have podcast rooms and things like this. We're trying to do ceramics and visual theater, everything. So just kind of make a artistic community center, and so that's kind of in the works right now. That's what we're really trying to bring to Frederick, just so we can keep on. We do have an arts district downtown, but it's growing tremendously. So that's where the space is limited. So to keep the artistic population, thriving, that's what we're really focused on right now.
Okay, and we here at Social Ghost, like I told you offline, if there's anything that we can do here to help,
That's great.
we're accessible, and we'd be more willing to help.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. If there's any listeners or anything like that that are doing anything similar to that, or have connections with our community here locally and like to reach out, share ideas, collaborate,
That would be great.
Look, those are the listening. Did you hear that? They're extremely open for collaboration. This is something that we have to continue to do to build as a people, period.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. So once again, I really appreciate y'all. I can't wait to hear about y'all experience as y'all eat more food. I really want to hear that, and I also want to check back in because I want to, maybe link up to see when y'all eat up there a particular dish. I like to get pictures and see, be look, we had this here compared to when y'all.
The portions are way bigger here.
Oh, okay.
The pancakes are the whole size of a plate, and
yeah.
I mean, I'm not complaining, but I think the stuff that I packed to wear here is already just I was oh, okay. I've been eating since I've been down here.
a little stingy up north. Just a little stingy.
Yeah, the
okay.
portions are way better, and definitely the flavors are out of this world. So yeah, and everyone is so friendly. Everyone is so friendly.
Okay, and that's not the norm.
We're friendly in Frederick, but I don't know. It just seems just extra and genuine, and I really appreciate that here. I haven't met anyone that seemed angry or irritated. Not
It's a real
one time.
thing.
The hospitality here is incredible.
I can tell you've been in the military and traveling.
Yeah.
We traveled from the East Coast before to the West Coast, and this is no joke, true story. From the time we leave the East Coast, that the further west we get, the friendlier the people are. It's just a real thing. Yeah, it's a real phenomenon.
It's
Yeah.
different. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I have heard they say Southern hospitality. That's been the word. And y'all actually experienced it,
Yes.
and I know you've lived it,
Oh, yeah.
but you actually been able to get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
All right.
I got receipts. Yeah.
He got receipts, y'all. Herbie got receipts. Herbie Balboa and Tasha, we really appreciate y'all. Natasha, thank y'all for coming through
you.
and chilling with us here.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hey, we're looking forward to hearing from y'all again.
Okay.
we go, hallelujah.